Hi, I'm David Katz with thepostgame.com, and we're joined today by Malcolm Jenkins, safety for the Philadelphia Eagles. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, your first year in the league, you won a Super Bowl. Is that correct? So how was that Super Bowl week different than this craziness that you get to walk around and meet people like me and do these interviews? What was it like your first time here?
I remember the media day when we first got down in Miami. It was crazy. Luckily I wasn't the biggest name on the team at that point, so I didn't have one of the big podiums. But you got all the crazy, media people that are wearing costumes on the media day. You got the media from different countries and different cultures and different languages. So it was cool, man. It was something I had never experienced before. Obviously, it being my rookie year in the league. But that whole week leading up to the game was just bonkers, and especially being down in Miami, similar to what's going on out here in San Fran. Obviously, the weather's not like in Miami, but it's great. The weather's been awesome. The fans are here in the multitudes, and it's turning out to be a great week.
So this year did not go as planned for the Philadelphia Eagles. You've been outspoken, talked a little bit about Chip Kelly and how that whole thing went down. What are your thoughts about Chip in this past year in Philadelphia?
Well, I think, the first thing that probably doesn't get talked about enough, or people don't hear enough, is that Chip is a great coach, and he's going to be successful, in San Francisco. I really believe that in my heart. I think just like any new coach into the league, you have to learn some lessons. Most coaches struggle with the X's and O's. Some coaches struggle with being, too hard or too demanding. I think Chip's struggle was just understanding the importance of communication between a coach and his players. It's not like necessarily college where, guys just do what you say and that's it. You got to be able to communicate and have a pulse of your locker room. And I think that's something that he tried to do, but something he's still learning. And I think he'll take that with him to San Fran. And with the great leaders that they have on that defense and on that team, he'll use them in order to reach the locker room. And I think once he has an open ear with his leaders, he'll be fine. The X's and O's, he's an innovative coach that knows what he's doing. He's won 10 games the first 2 seasons in the league for a reason. It wasn't by accident. And so, it didn't work out, but it'll be good on both ends.
What's the one thing, if you could tell him to change one thing to be successful in the NFL, what's that one thing?
And this is something I've told him personally, is use your leaders. You need to have a committee of leaders that you talk with frequently. One, for them to tell you what's going on in the locker room and what the players want, and then 2, for you to explain to them or to be able to share a message to them that they can go and share to the locker room. And once you have that committee of players, you can set the culture because everybody feels vested, everybody feels like they have a voice.
So you're the Iron Man of the NFL. You led the NFL in snaps this year. You only missed 2 snaps the entire season. What does it feel like in your body at the end of a year where you've put yourself through that kind of rigorous activity?
Yeah, so this is the 2nd year in a row I've played the most snaps in the NFL. Obviously, with Chip's fast-paced offense, it had some repercussions on the defenders. But, one of the craziest things about it is, and I think it's another thing that Chip does well, is he takes care of us from a body standpoint and how we go about recovering from games. And so this is the most snaps I've ever played in my life. Ends up being like close to 2 games more than an average player each year. But come week 16, I haven't missed a game, and I feel better than I ever have. And so, I'm surprisingly healthy. This has been the 2 most healthy years I've had in my career. And like I said, toward the end of the year, I feel great. I'm not in rehab protocols or anything, or barely walking. I feel great, and I want to make sure I keep it that way. Hopefully I don't play that many plays this year, but if I have to, I think I'll be all right.
So after a season like that, what's your off-season regimen going to look like? How are you going to keep your body in shape but also get the rest you need?
Yeah, the biggest thing is mentally for me. I usually take the first month off, so I hadn't done anything. I didn't plan on doing anything until I got that call to go to a Pro Bowl. Then I had to do something for maybe one day. But, I'll start working out here probably right after the Super Bowl. Like mid-February is where I start. And then you just slowly just build that up until, you get to the off-season program. And our off-season program will start, 2 weeks earlier this year with a new head coach. So you try not to beat yourself down too much because, the season's long enough as it is. You just want to make sure you get to a point where, you're ready to go and you peak at the right time.
Speed's an important part of your game. You won the 400 meters in high school. Do you follow track and field today? We have an Olympics coming up. Is that something you think, if you had dedicated yourself to, you could have actually competed in the Olympics?
I don't know about. I wouldn't say the Olympics. I was a 200, 400 runner. I ran a little bit on Ohio State's 4x1 one spring. So I think if I gave it enough, especially at the collegiate level, I think I could compete. I don't know if I would go to an Olympics or anything like that. I know I work hard enough where I probably put myself there, but track is definitely my other love. I haven't followed it as much recently, but I really enjoy the 4x4 race. I think that's my favorite one, and the 400 is something because not everybody can run it. You know, that's a man's race, and that was one I enjoyed the most.
So you've played against both of the quarterbacks here playing in the Super Bowl this week. We got to ask you a Super Bowl question. We are here for that reason. So what's it like playing against Cam Newton? And when you're practicing and you're kind of looking at his unique skill set as someone who plays in the secondary, what do you need to do to actually be prepared for someone like Cam?
Well, you know, Cam can do it all. So you got to get ready for, you know, like what the normal quarterbacks do. He's going to drop back, he's going to throw it. You got to be able to disrupt that timing. But what you almost can't prepare for is when he starts ad-libbing, when he pulls the ball down and he's scrambling or he's, you know, buying time, and next thing you know, you're trying to cover Philly Brown and Ted Ginn for 6 seconds, and that's, with their speed, it's tough to do. And that's why you see, you know, Ted Ginn might have 2 catches in a game for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. And it's because of those type of things. So, you know, that you can't get ready for that. It's just no way to really simulate that.
What's your prediction for the game?
I really think it's going to be a close game. I think these two defenses are going to be one of the better defensive battles that we've seen in a while. I think Carolina's offense might just be a little bit better than the Broncos. So I think the Broncos defense is going to have to steal a possession or two. And I think the game probably ends 21-17 Panthers.
There you go. You heard it here first. Malcolm Jenkins, Philadelphia Eagles, thank you for being on the postgame.com.
No problem.
Thank you.
Awesome. So last thing I'm going to do with you before I let you go,